What thoughts do you have about the collateral consequences that follow for anybody who has been charged with a crime, much less convicted of a crime? It affects earning power, it affects family relationships. That charge can affect how you spend the rest of your life. For many people, it sends them onto this pathway of real struggle that lasts for sometimes generations. The more important thing is, what can you do to make things better? My name is Michael Santos, and I'm the founder of Prison Professors. We are a nonprofit where we give everything away to try and help people overcome those types of collateral consequences. But in order to overcome the challenge, the individual's got to be thinking about the stakeholders they're going to meet, right? And it doesn't matter which stakeholder we're talking about. Think about those people and figure out what is it that they want from the system. So you think about a judge. You want to think about a probation officer. You want to think about officials that work in the prison system. You want to think about future employers or business partners or others who are going to be able to find anything out about you in the future. They're going to be able to find out authorities have charged you with a crime or you've been convicted of a crime. What's super important to do is to start building a body of work, assets that will differentiate you from what that message is. You want people to judge you for how you responded to a crisis, not for what brought you into the crisis. And that takes work. But it also takes a centralized location where you can collect all of your information. Now, some people might be able to do that by building their own website, but that can be very costly. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in building websites, and they've been very effective, but I know that most people who are going into the criminal justice system don't have those resources. And that's why I've taken it upon myself to build a path that will allow anybody to memorialize their journey. And I'm going to share with you what it looks like by sharing my screen right here. So this is a website here that we created called prisonprofessors.org. It is our nonprofit's website, and it has an abundance of free information. It has courses, lessons. It shows who we serve. It shows what we do. I show what I did. I describe the influences that helped me through prison. I write a daily blog every single day. I show the different ways that I hold myself accountable to achieve success as I define success. And so all of these self-directed lessons are very helpful. But if you go through all of the lessons and you don't memorialize it and document, it may as well not exist. You can't go to the stakeholders in the future and say, oh, I really used my time in prison to prepare for success, because they're going to want to see evidence of that. And that's what this section right here, if you go to our courses page up there at the top and you click on that link, you will see over here where it says more talent. That's where you want to visit, because the Prison Professors talent page is where anybody could start building their own path, their own story of why they are a worthy candidate for success upon release. And we create all kinds of mechanisms here on how to do it. If I go to the talent website, and I click on my own personal profile, all I have to do is type it here, Santos, because I use myself as an example. Remember, I never ask anybody to do anything I am not doing. One of the first things they have to do is build a profile. That's super simple, right? And we've got tools there that show them how to do it. You just have to scroll through the site and you could find an area on how to do it, right? You go right here, it says build your profile. It's that simple. Click the link and it's going to open up. It's going to give you a video with a tutorial on how to do it. You could start building your profile by clicking this link. You could add to your profile by clicking this link. You're going to see examples and everything else, okay? All of that is designed so that you could start memorializing everything that you are doing. And you want to invite people to subscribe to your newsletter, because if you build this profile and you start populating it with information like I did, okay, other people are going to want to follow you. And every time you publish something, they're going to receive it. You see, I publish here every day. I try and show people you've got to be working to build a pathway to success. You've got to be the CEO of your life. And I learned that from studying leaders who taught me how to think differently, but it wasn't good enough to just think differently. I had to start acting like those leaders. And when you do that, you end up building these testimonials that anybody can leave a testimonial. I want you to start accumulating these testimonials, because if you do that, you're going to find more pathways to success. So you want to build a biography that defines who you are. There's my biography, right? I actually include a lesson on what does a biography look like. And then I wrote about it. Like, I'm not going to take the time to read it. Anybody can read it, but this is not about me. I did 26 years in prison. I became successful because of the decisions that I made while I was in prison. And now my mission is about making an impact on the lives of others and teaching them the strategies that worked for me. One strategy is make sure that you define your life by writing your biography, and then start doing the other steps, which I'll cover in the next video. But it's not that hard, right? A biography is pretty simple. I can just spit one out right now. My name is Michael Santos, and I made a lot of really bad decisions. When I was 20, I saw a movie. It influenced me to get involved in something I shouldn't have. I started trafficking in cocaine by thinking that by hiring other people to be an intermediary. I thought I was shielding myself from prosecution, but with the wisdom of a 20-year-old, all I was doing was getting myself deeper and deeper and deeper into struggle. But that is not, I decided after a jury convicted me, I decided this is not going to be what defines my life. I'm going to define my life by the way I responded to this problem. And so by studying other leaders, including Socrates and Nelson Mandela and Frederick Douglass and Viktor Frankl, I learned to think differently. And by thinking differently, I came up with this three-pronged approach that's going to guide me through every day in prison. I'm going to focus on the people I want to meet in the future and figure out how could I earn their trust. That led to my three-pronged plan of not thinking about what I wanted, but thinking about what they wanted. I'd have to get an education. That's something they would want from me. I'd have to contribute to society. That would show I don't want to be a criminal. I would have to build a strong support network, because if I get other people to believe in me, it might be easier for that concept to spread. And that path is really what defined me all the way through the journey that I served in high security penitentiaries, medium security prisons, low security prisons, minimum security camps, and all of those lessons that I learned while I was in prison put me on a pathway to build a life of meaning and relevance and dignity and contribution. It allowed me to build businesses that have generated millions of dollars in revenues and millions of dollars in profits. And it allows me now to devote my life to being the change that I want to see in the world, which is helping more people get that same outcome. So you've got to learn how to tell your story in a very coherent, easy way. And to the extent that you document it and memorialize it on your biography page, which I recommend you should iterate over time, you are going to develop an asset, a body of work that you could use to influence change in your future. In fact, if I share my screen here, I can show you, what happens. All right, if you look at justice.gov. Right? Look at justice.gov, and you'll see here every day they're coming up with press releases that are really just obliterating a person's character. And each person has to be thinking about this and saying, well, what can I do to change this kind of press? Richard Zager, 58, of Blue Point, New York, was sentenced to a year in prison and 2 years of supervised release for pleading guilty to a 4-count indictment, charging him with conspiracy, right? These are complications to somebody's earning potential. But if you build a path, right? If I build a path and I just type in my name, and it's probably, not entirely accurate here because it's my computer, but if you Google my name, I control everything that's on here, right? There's my wife and I when I first got out of prison. All of these stories of the work that I do and the change that I try to make, like I control, there's my books, everything I control the entire page of Google. Why? Because I worked hard to build a pathway of memorializing my journey, just like you can do. And although I write and talk about my experience in prison, it's not prison that defines my life. What defines my life is a commitment to making an impact and helping other people going through the system figure out how they can be successful. That's what I would encourage you to do. To learn more, just use our website at prisonprofessors.org. We always make 3 promises. 1, I'm never going to lie to you. 2, I'm never going to ask you to do anything I didn't do. And 3, I'm never going to charge you a penny for anything that I offer at prisonprofessors.org. I'm Michael Santos, and I believe in you.